ESPN Boxing, myself and Paul, we are back. Another preview week here. 3 fights, splice and dice into 3 different videos. We've obviously got this one we're going to talk about here, but also check out our video on Crawford versus Spence and Davis versus Cunningham. Paul, this is the first of the 3, obviously taking place on Tuesday. I don't really want to give any spoilers away because you're going to take us through it eloquently. But what I'll say is this, Paul, and this only: we're heading off to Japan for this fight, and it is world title action. It's a monster fight in itself, which is also one of the nicknames, potentially one of the fighters. Paul, please take it away.
Yeah, no secrets here, Elliot. You're right. Of course, we're talking about a monster fight, and one pair of these two boxers is, of course, nicknamed the Monster, and we are, of course, talking about Naoya Inoue against Stephen Fulton, or should we say Fulton against Inoue, as Fulton is the one that holds the belts, of course. Tuesday, 25th of July, we're heading to Japan, the Ariake Arena. I think you pronounce it, for some WBO and WBC World Super Bantamweight title action. Obviously, Fulton holding those 2 belts, with the IBF and WBA being held by Palace. Quick tail of the tape, as we always like to do, and so evenly matched on paper. You look at this, and despite the different styles of both men, Inoue needs no real introduction. Pound for pound, possibly one of the hardest hitting punchers in world boxing. 24-0 with 21 stoppages. He's 30 years old now, orthodox fighter. Stands at 5'5" tall and has a 67.5" reach. He's of course from Japan, so fighting in front of his home, it'll be a very much pro Inoue crowd, I feel. Fulton going into the Lions Den. Kudos to him. He's 21-0 himself with just 8 stoppage victories. He's also orthodox. He's an inch and a half taller. It's 5'6.5". And he's also got a 3-inch reach advantage over Inoue at 70.5" reach. He's the younger fighter by a year. He's 29. And as I mentioned, he currently holds the WBC and WBO Super Bantamweight world titles. You kind of look at resumes here, Elliot, and Inoue, again, probably the list of fighters he's beaten has been incredible. He's aiming to become a 4-weight world champion. Obviously, he won a world title at light fly. Pretty sure he skipped flyweight, went up to super fly, won a world title. Unify was undisputed at bantamweight, now going to 122 pounds as well. He's beaten the likes of obviously Nonito Donaire twice, Jason Maloney, Manuel Rodriguez, Peno, and yeah, as I said, if he wins this, he becomes a 4-weight world champion. But he will have to get through Stephen Fulton, who himself has a few good names on the record. Most notably, probably Brandon Figueroa, who's now stepped up to featherweight and is regarded as probably one of the best featherweights on the planet already. He's also beaten Danny Roman and Angelo Leo, are kind of standout names on his resume. First and foremost, before we get into predictions and discussions here, Elliot, I just want to say fair play to both men for taking this fight. Fair play to Inoue, stepping straight up and not taking a warm-up fight before going right in there at the top level. Fair play to Fulton, traveling to Japan to take on one of the most feared men and one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. So yeah, hats off to both men. I'm not wearing a hat, but I am taking my metaphorical hat off to both men here. Elliot, this is a cracking fight. I'm sure you're really looking forward to it, and you can't beat a bit of midweek boxing action, can you? Watching while you're at work. So yeah, my questions to you, Elliot, are of course a prediction. But first, do you think this is both men's toughest fight?
Well, thank you very much for that eloquent breakdown, and I'd like to echo your sentiments of respect for both fighters for taking this, and also, to say to the fans that are watching this week, we deserve this. We published some terrible cards for long enough, and to finally get a week like this, we should just sit back, soak it up, and enjoy it. Coming to your question, is this the hardest opponent for both fighters? I think, yes, I would say so. Well, I'd say it's Inoue's toughest fight, frankly, just because I think of the A.A. Gill quote when I think of Stephen Fulton, that, in some ways, using the simile, that he's slippery as a chancellor's promise. And I think given the sort of size, the height, the reach advantages that Fulton will have over Inoue, and up at that weight as well, I see it presenting a problem unlike that Inoue's faced previously. So for him, yes. For Fulton, obviously I look at it and go, yeah, the power of Inoue. Obviously also discredits Inoue's actual boxing ability as well. He's obviously a fantastic boxing technician as well. So potentially, but when I also look at it, I think of Figueroa in the name you mentioned. Like, will he prove to be as difficult as Figueroa? It's a very close fight for Fulton as well. So not as clear cut, actually, I don't think, as Fulton's best opponent on the CV, but definitely Inoue's. Prediction wise, Oh, so hard. We've gone Spence Crawford on this one. We've done like Davis and Cunningham as well. Oh, this is a tough week actually when it comes to predictions. To stay my original prediction on this, I still think it's going to come in. I actually think Fulton's going to win this on point. I don't think he's going to, which to be honest, in Japan is quite a wide and wild and wild prediction potentially. I need to stop Inoue. Like, if you look at his record and the power that you mentioned too, but I just feel like with the physical advantages he's got and the skill set he's got, I actually think he's got the all the tools essentially to actually outpoint Inoue, make it very very difficult for him.
Yeah, I don't know whether you and I are all of these previews we've been doing, we're feeding off each other's delusion. But I completely agree. I've said Stephen Fulton as well. I'm on Fulton's side for this fight, for all of the reasons you mentioned above. And that's probably coming as a surprise because I'd say a lot more people would fancy Inoue for this fight. Yet here we are doing a preview for it, and we're both agreeing with Fulton. And yeah, I don't know what it is. There's just Inoue is unbelievable, but it's one of those things like when Lomachenko went up to super. Oh, sorry, when Lomachenko was up at lightweight, he obviously has those good wins at lightweight, but at the top level against Haney and then the Lopez, he just fell short. Not based on skill level or attributes, but probably just size.
Mm.
Um, and I think something similar might happen to Inoue here. Stephen Fulton is underrated. He's not a household name in boxing. Certainly will be if he wins this fight, obviously. Um, and yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think I probably would say it's both men's toughest fight. Yes, I know you mentioned the Figueroa, and that's gone on. That win is dated magnificently for Fulton. Um,
Mm.
but in terms of the power of Inoue, the boxing ability, the names he's beaten, and just kind of the aura and fear factor he has around him. You're not just fighting Inoue, you're fighting everyone else in that arena. And this is, when someone walks into the room and they've got an aura, and that's probably what Inoue is like when he walks to the ring in Japan. Again, like you said, Elliot, Fulton will have to put on a masterful performance for 36 minutes if he is to win on points. I don't see him stopping Inoue. So I see it going points as well, which makes me, and I don't know whether we are being delusional or not. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think. But to win in Japan on points, you're probably going to have to say Fulton needs to win convincingly 8 rounds, which
Mm.
a lot of people, when you put it that way, you're like, oh, can he do that? But I think he can. I'm sticking with my gut here as well, Elliot. And yeah, I'm going for a Fulton decision victory here too.
No, I totally agree, Paul. No, I totally agree with everything you're saying there as well, to be honest with you. I think you can only go up so far. I think Zoe McKendry's the guy at this outlet that I think he was talking about Charlo that almost disregards all weight counts and says he can go up and win a super heavy. But I think there is a certain limit where you can go to where your ceiling is. As Paul says, let us know whether you agree with us or disagree with us. And also Paul makes a very valid point there about fighting the occasion and obviously the travel, everything, the culture, everything that Fulton's going to have to get used to when he goes there, obviously in preparation, and obviously in eventual execution. But Paul and I have agreed. So let us know whether you agree or disagree as well. Guys, as always, as we said, we've alluded to previously here, we've got other previews for this week as well, other super fights, interviews, features, written, video, deep big fight breakdowns, deep dives, all that sort of stuff coming up as well on the channel. So please feel free to check that out. All that's really left for me to say here is, Paul, I hope you get a free passage on Tuesday to watch this fight. I hope maybe you have to get a bit throaty for take the morning off, whatever, from work. But this is definitely one where it's worth doing that. But guys, yeah, thanks for watching, Paul. Thanks for joining me, and we look forward to this fight in a super week of boxing.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Can't wait. All the best.